Confrontation is fermenting on the roof of the world, one started unilaterally by China. New satellite images have appeared and they show China's rapid incursion into northeast Bhutan. One village at a time, China is illegally carving out land from its neighbor's land. This, by the way, despite ongoing border talks between the two sides. Chinese belligerence indeed knows no bounds at all. In the latest, images show China's incursion into the ancestral areas of Bhutan's royal family. Satellite images from less than 30 days ago indicating the staggering pace at which China is building settlements along a river valley in Beyul Khenpajong. This region has a deep cultural significance for the Bhutanese people. You see, Beyul means hidden valley. The royal family of Bhutan traced their ancestral heritage to Beyul Khenpajong. Yet the Bhutanese government has been powerless to stop the Chinese incursion there. Bhutan is a country with a population of less than 8 lakh. It can do little in the face of China's salami-slicing, a strategy that China often resorts to illegally grab land in the Himalayas. Reports, in fact, suggest that China has stepped up its construction activity there. China has constructed large settlements. As per reports, they can house up to hundreds of people. It is believed that these settlements will grow significantly in number once it is finished. Since the year 2020, China has seriously ramped up construction in Beyul Khenpajong, carving hillsides into road networks and constructing enclaves. Now, why is China establishing settlements in Bhutanese land, even though it is currently holding talks with them? Well, the answer is simple: to undermine the strategic security of India. And it is doing so by upping the pressure on Thimphu, so it yields more contested areas in the Himalayas. Therefore, the Chinese incursion in Bhutan has profound implications for India. In the year 2020, China and Bhutan signed a 3-step roadmap to resolve the border dispute. Bhutan hopes that the deal will put an end to Chinese intrusion and demarcate the border. But it seems that Beijing has a different plan altogether. Beijing hopes for a deal consolidating its gain in northern Bhutan, and Beijing anticipates formal diplomatic relations with Bhutan. What Beijing really wants is to draw Thimphu into its orbit, and that has far-reaching implications for India. Remember, until as recently as 2007, New Delhi guided Thimphu's foreign policy. This was in exchange for free trade and security arrangements. In the event that Bhutan and China ink a deal demarcating Bhutan's northern border, attention will turn to Bhutan's west. This region also is in dispute between China and Bhutan, and perhaps most importantly, it lies close to the Doklam Plateau. Here, Indian and Chinese soldiers faced off in 2017. The Indian soldiers had physically prevented Chinese soldiers from extending a road that they had constructed in the area. This area has been internationally recognized as Bhutanese territory. India does not have a claim on Doklam, but it supports Bhutan's claim on the territory. It is because the Doklam Plain is strategically crucial for India. It opens a path to the Siliguri corridor, which links the northeastern states of India with the rest of the country. Since that standoff, Chinese workers have carved into Bhutanese territory. They have built 3 villages along the Amo-Chu River Valley. It lies directly adjacent to Doklam. And so New Delhi closely monitors Chinese construction activity. It sees China's land grab as a part of its plan to threaten the narrow strip of land called the Siliguri corridor or the Chicken's Neck. Now, despite Bhutan's engagement with China and its efforts to settle border issues, the Himalayan country faces several hurdles. Treaty obligations, diplomatic ties, geopolitical priorities, just to name a few, and India is concerned, worried about the evolving dynamics of Bhutan's ties with China. You see, Bhutan's orientation towards China could pose challenges for India. In the past, India has reportedly urged Bhutan to avoid conceding Doklam to China, but a land swap deal as part of the anticipated border deal with China has not been categorically put off the table. Still, Bhutan remains treaty-bound to respect Indian interests. So while Bhutan and China continue border talks, a resolution is not imminent. Is the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunaks' wife corrupt? The Labour Party in the UK has raised questions over Rishi Sunaks' wife's recently liquidated investment venture. Our next report getting you the complete story.
Fantastic news that we're in a youth centre because we've also got...
For the UK Prime Minister, it's a new year with new strategies but old problems. Rishi Sunak finds himself battling a controversy once again. This time, though he is not alone. His wife Akshata Murthy's financial dealings have led the UK's Labour Party to raise the question, is Rishi Sunak's wife corrupt? The basis of the attack is the recently liquidated investment venture owned by Murthy. Labour's National Campaign Coordinator Pat McFadden has questioned the circumstances surrounding the wind-up. How did things reach this point? In 2013, Akshata Murthy, the daughter of Infosys co-founder Narayana Murthy, founded the investment firm Catamaran Ventures. One of the directors was her spouse, Rishi Sunak. But come 2015, Sunak secured a House of Commons seat and resigned from the firm. Murthy, as a result, became the majority shareholder. And Catamaran Ventures has been in the spotlight ever since. But after its closure last month, what's the fate of the firm's holdings? They are set to be donated. The holdings will be transferred to ShareGift, which is a charity specializing in receiving share donations. Now, if this is the case, why is Labour raising questions about the closure? Well, the party is emphasizing on the need for transparency. They say they are not trying to gain political mileage out of the issue. All they want is to ensure that the Sunaks declare their wealth appropriately. Labour has written to the Deputy Prime Minister Oliver Dowden raising a number of questions, including what impact the winding up could have on other companies, especially government-backed businesses. The party has also sought clarity on the fulfillment of tax liabilities, and it has urged that the business interests of both Sunak and Murthy still need to be properly declared in the UK's Register of Ministerial Interests. Remember, just months ago, media reports showed that Catamaran Ventures held shares in an education startup, which received close to $450,000 in government funding. Sunak also came under scrutiny earlier that year. According to reports, it had emerged that his millionaire wife had shares in a childcare agency, which stood to gain from a new policy announced in the budget. In fact, according to an October 2023 media report, Murthy that year earned more than the combined parliamentary salaries of all Labour MPs. Bureau Report.
Will Benjamin Netanyahu choose to expand the war? The fate of West Asia depends on the answer to this question. And the concerns, by the way, have been growing, not just in the region, but specifically within the White House. The concern that Netanyahu could take things a step further and with that start a full-blown war against the Hezbollah. And why would he do that, you ask? Well, to put it simply, for political gain, to save himself. But will he actually walk down that road? Well, according to the Israeli Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, they prefer the path of an agreed-upon diplomatic settlement, but they are getting close to the point where the hourglass will turn over. Now, that in itself is a telling statement, but will that hourglass actually turn over is the question. Well, US officials are concerned that it might. In fact, according to a report in the Washington Post, US officials are concerned that an expanded fight in Lebanon could be seen by Netanyahu as key to his political survival. It says that US officials believe that if the Gaza war ends tomorrow, Netanyahu's political career will end with it, and this incentivizes him to broaden the conflict. In fact, the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is once again going to try and maintain the US pressure on Israel. Now, if you have been following the developments, you would know by now that the anti-Netanyahu sentiment on the ground has been growing. But to what extent? Have a look at these visuals for yourself. These demonstrators blocked the entrance to the parliament, demanding the resignation of the government. The protesters included relatives of the Israelis held hostage in the Gaza Strip. The demonstrators chanted "Elections now" and obstructed vehicular traffic before being carried off by the police. The protesters were dispersed by the police, but the anti-Netanyahu sentiment persists. Let me just show you some numbers here for context. According to a poll published by the Israeli newspaper Maariv and conducted by the Lazar Institute, 48% of the Israelis prefer Benny Gantz as the Prime Minister. 48%. Only 34% believing that Netanyahu is suitable for his position. And what if the elections are held today? As per the poll, Gantz's party would secure 36 seats of the 120-member parliament. And what about Netanyahu's party? 19 seats. You see the messaging. It highlights a consistent drop in the Likud party's popularity. We have been telling you about this. There is growing anger on the ground over the failure to prevent the October 7 Hamas attack, also the failure to secure the release of all the hostages. But what does this mean for Benjamin Netanyahu? Is he going to choose to expand the war? Will he ensure that the conflict is widened to save himself?